Welcome everyone to today's live Q&A. I'm here to answer all your questions about Amazon and COVID's affecting it. So let me know in the chat box, wherever it is, somewhere around here, what questions you have for me. And for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to be all of your questions. So great. David says, can you show the inventory planning tool at some point? Yes, we need to do so. If you have access to the application, you can log into Jungle Scout inside of the Academy. There's some videos around our inventory planning tool. Unfortunately, today I don't have screen sharing capabilities, so I'm not going to be able to do it, but I think you should check it out. Benjamin said, I signed up for Jungle Scout yesterday and been watching all your Academy videos. Awesome. Happy to hear it. Hello, Joanna. Let's see. Murdoch says, our buy box is at 47%, but the parts we have up are branded and we do not have competitors. We dual list. Yeah, my guess is that dual listing competes against. Does it sound right to you? I don't think it should compete against yourself. No, because it still shows up as your buy box percentage, even like whether or not you're FBM. Let's think here. And Amazon's pretty much always going to prioritize the FBA. Unless it's really backed up and the ship times are really slow for FBA, then maybe they'll do FBM. But no, it doesn't sound right that you compete against yourself for the buy box like that. Hello from India. Hello, hello. Not many questions so far. Hello, Christy, tuning in from Oregon. Any advice on sourcing from China amid the crisis for newbies? Let's see here. I don't know if advice for sourcing from China right now amid the crisis is any different than kind of like what it normally is. Most of China is kind of like back to business and back inside the factories working. You'll probably be able to find all of the sales reps are available. So I don't know if you really need to adjust your plans. There is a lot of delays when it comes to shipments right now, but that's not too much different from how you go about sourcing. That's just kind of like an FYI that it might take a little bit longer to get things that are being shipped. Would love your take on wholesaling in the current selling environment. Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, sales are up on right now, like 30, maybe even 40%. So it's no real better time. I mean, consumers are buying much Amazon than what was expected in March and even in April, or what we saw at the beginning of the year. So I think it's a great time to do it. Is there any way to know how many sales each keyword's driving to my product? Thank you, Jungle Scout, for an amazing tool. Amazon will show you, Ian, what sales are being driven from keywords for sponsor products, but not for your organic sales. So unfortunately, you can't see it for the organic sales. Masonry opening? Sorry, I don't understand what that question is, Mohammed. What's the difference between sales analytics inside of Jungle Scout versus Fetcher? Our goal really of Jungle Scout is to build in all the functionality that you need, so you don't have to use our other tools like Fetcher. Some people still prefer Fetcher because right now it does have a little bit more robust analytics, but yeah, the goal is to kind of let functionality inside of Jungle Scout. How does Jungle Scout look compared to Fetcher? Log in, take a look at Jungle Scout. You'll see like the overall goal of it is to give you all the metrics and analytics you need to properly kind of like manage and optimize your business. Some of the layouts are a little bit different in Jungle Scout versus Fetcher, but yeah, log in and take a look at it yourself. Hi, NYC. What resources would you recommend for finding suppliers in the US? I think what you'll find is it's very difficult to find suppliers in the US. ThomasNet is the best resource for it. But most people, when they go to try to find factories or suppliers in the US, they have a very hard time doing so just because there's very little manufacturing infrastructure in the US. Does your app support repricing in any way? No, it doesn't. If you have a relatively simple or smaller business, I recommend just reprice your built into Amazon. Quite large, sophisticated one, then you could look at some of the other third-party repricing tools. Does Amazon's warehouse still accept products? Yes, Amazon actually now accepts all products. So the kind of the freeze for FBA sellers has been lifted, and they're accepting all products again. I just joined. I'm super excited. Good. Happy to have you. If you're restarting, would you do anything differently when it comes to selling on Amazon? I started in 2013, so a lot was different then, and so I do a lot differently now. I think, yeah, I mean, things that I would do is just kind of all of the different stuff that we teach on this YouTube channel and at Jungle Scout and on all of our free resources. Have you had any experience with trading companies versus manufacturers in China? If so, with trading companies, any concerns? Typically, what you'll find with trading companies is they are more effective at finding, or they're quite effective at finding factories. Usually the communication is a little bit slower because you're having to go through a middleman. They usually, well, they do also mark up the price, which usually means a higher price overall, but it's like, it's easier probably just hiring one of them than trying to find the factory yourself. The downside is it's probably more expensive, and I've found communication to be harder. Can Amazon warehouse status in North America? Amazon warehouses are open and as fast as they can in North America. The sales have definitely increased, so I think they're like pretty, but they're accepting all shipments from FBA sellers. So I'm going to hop down some of the newer questions. How often should we use a third-party company to check? How often should we use a third-party company to check our goods in China? This really comes down to kind of like your risk tolerance. You know, like it costs money to hire an inspection, but if you are spending quite a bit of money to have your goods manufactured, then it is worth it. If you're just doing like a smaller that's relatively inexpensive, then you might decide it's not worth it. So it's kind of just like that. It's kind of like getting insurance, you know, it's like, is it worth extra money to you? So you're saying I already have access to the online tool. I didn't know that I had that. Do I have access to everything? What's the number of free searches a month? If you don't have access, if you don't already have Jungle Scout, we actually have a 14-day trial we're doing right now. We typically don't do free trials. However, in COVID and a lot of new people trying to get on everything going on, we wanted to do some of the community. So we'll drop the link to the free trial in the chat box. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's junglescout.com/boost. Thanks for all the live sessions. Which is the best to start with, wholesale or private labeling? Wholesalers, doing the wholesale method is probably going to be a little bit easier and a little bit quicker to get started. Also, probably requires a little bit less money, but I'd say that margins are usually tighter and there's less upside because you're not like creating your own brand that you can later sell or continue to grow. So yeah, I think it's up to you. Bilal says, I already have Jungle Scout. If you already have it, then yeah, you should have access to the functionality. Did Amazon loosen up a bit on late shipments? I think what we're seeing is like every day or week that goes by, there's more normalcy to Amazon. And that's both receiving new shipments as well as shipping out to customers. So yeah, I think it continues to get better like each day that goes by. How long will Amazon keep your product before they start charging you warehouse fees for unsold products? And what are those fees? This is from Patty Davidson. Patty, Amazon charges warehouse fees as soon as they get into their warehouse. The normal monthly warehouse fees are very reasonable and they're not very much. You can look up the exact fees online, the price based off of like cubic foot. Where the fees get high are when you have long-term storage fees, which happen after your goods have been there for like 6 or 12 months. Should we use the 999 tracking method? I don't really see a need to do so. If you have a tool like Jungle Scout, and like I think you said that you already have it, then the sales estimates are going to be like more reliable than the 999 method, just because a lot of people either have inventory limits or they just have more than 999 units in stock. Is there any tool inside of Jungle Scout that I can use to see my competitors' keyword ranks? Yeah, Ian, what you do is you go into Keyword Scout, you type in the ASIN, it will show you all the keywords that ASIN ranks for. And if you can actually start tracking all those keyword competitors' ASIN and see where they're ranking at inside of our keyword rank tracker. What would you choose these days, FBA or FBM? Honestly, what I'd probably do is I'd probably send like half or 3/4 of my inventory into FBA. But if Amazon's shipping times are slow, or if I can't get a shipment into FBA, then I would kind of like turn it off, let the FBM cap, just let FBM capture the buy box. Do you have to have some kind of certification for skin products or water? I don't know. What I would recommend is I would recommend going into like add inventory and trying to list it. And then if you're able to list it and there's no problems, if you aren't able to, then you may be gated and Amazon can kind of ungate you. Or you can go through the process to get ungated for them. Greg, how do you stay competitive and stay ranked at the top? You're there. I mean, really comes down to is the conversion rate of your listing and your sales velocity. So it's like you want a listing that converts well. So it's like good listing content, good reviews, all that kind of stuff. And then your sales velocity is important too. So you want to have it priced well and that it's selling well, then you'll keep high in the ranks. All right. Slumber said, how long does it take you on average to get wholesale opportunities? Searched a lot and fired off a few emails of success yet. How many wholesale products do you sell yourself, Greg? Wholesale is used to be an opportunity that I did. I don't do it anymore. Now I just have private label products, but I mean, it is going to take some work to find these these sellers to work with. I'd say keep at it. All right. There's a few questions in here around the Freedom Builder Bootcamp. So Jungle Scout actually has a course available right now. We shut the doors for a while and we recently reopened it. I know there's a lot of people that want to start selling on Amazon because they see all the increased demand right now, and it looks like long-term it's just a great opportunity. So you can find more information out about it at freedombuilderbootcamp.com. I'd recommend checking it out. And yeah, hope to see you in there. How much profit per unit should we aim for? Bilal asked this. I shoot for 30% margins on all my products. Looking to start ASM is now the right time. Now is a great time to start selling on Amazon. Like I said, like demand on Amazon is up. Long term, I think everyone agrees that e-commerce is going to increase because of the COVID situation. A lot of the slow adopters have started shopping on Amazon because they can't go to the stores or don't want to now. And most experts agree that the e-commerce opportunity, that even post-COVID, that sales are going to stay elevated on Amazon. So yeah, I think now's the best time to start selling on Amazon or learn about it. Do you charge shipping when you list FBM? If so, how do you figure out the shipping rate per product through FBM? Yes. So when you through FBM, you can either you can either offer free shipping and just bake that cost into your product, or you can in Seller Central fill out, I think they call it a shipping profile for an individual product. And how do you figure out your shipping rate? Well, you'd probably want to cover all of your own costs to ship it. I don't know who you're shipping through. And then it's up to you if you want to add additional on top of that for like your packaging or your whatever you're charging, like kind of for your labor. What's the best way to find keywords for PPC? I would recommend using our Keyword Scout tool. It's given it a lot of love. And, do you suggest getting with significant? If I'm being honest, John, I don't think a NDA is going to really protect you that much, assuming your supplier is in China. I mean, one is just because like business law, or what we think of as business ethics, are a little bit different in China than what they are in the US. IP law there and the way they treat IP is different. And then it's also like, okay, even if you have an NDA and it stands up with your supplier, as soon as you start selling, everyone's gonna start making anyway. So if it's like you can do it, I guess it doesn't take long to get into an NDA, but yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be really that advantageous to you, to be honest. How do you determine what Amazon warehouse to send your products to? And can you recommend a good freight forwarding company? When you create a shipment plan inside of Amazon, they're going to tell you which warehouse you ship to. So all good there. As far as a freight forwarding company, I use a company called Flexport. A lot of people use a tool called Freightos. It's freight and then os.com. The nice thing about Freightos is they get you quotes from a whole bunch of different freight forwarders. So you'll typically get cheaper pricing than if you just stick with, say, like Flexport. Greg, if I buy a product from a retail store to do retail arbitrage, but it's not listed on Amazon, can I list that product? Yes, you can. You'll just have to create the listing, assuming you're not gated in that category. How much is the Freedom Builder course? Freedom Builder Bootcamp is $997. It's a lot more than just a course, though. We put together, you can think of it, I mean, I think Bootcamp's really a good name for it, because in addition to just the course content, you're also getting live Q&As and group coaching with it. You'll be in a group of other people in the boot camp, so you can chat with them. You're surrounded by like-minded individuals. It adds a level of accountability. There's a whole bunch of additional resources in there. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. How does it compare to ASM 11? To be completely honest, I'm not that familiar with ASM 11, so I can't quite tell you for sure. I know that we've built the Freedom Builder Bootcamp because, we've been working with sellers for over 5 years. We've seen the typical questions that you all ask and what we can do to best help you succeed or grow a successful business on Amazon. So that's how it's structured, and that's our goal. Is drop shipping worth considering to start selling in the US? It's worth considering. What you're going to find is it's pretty hard to find people who are willing to drop ship their products, and for you to get success for inexpensive enough rates from them to make a profit for them on Amazon. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely consider it. We're also putting out some content to kind of help you if you're interested in it. 30% profit after FBA fees and PPC. Yes, that's net. Do you always use a freight forwarder? Tips on finding one? If I am not shipping through like DHL or UPS or TNT or one of those guys, then I always use a freight forwarder. Tips on finding one, I would probably just go to Freightos.com or Flexport. Freightos will show you a whole bunch and they'll all give you different quotes. That's helpful. Have you heard of Thrasio? Do they pose a threat to FBA? If I'm not mistaken, I think that's that it's kind of structured, I guess, like a private equity fund. I think that is, if I'm not getting this mistaken, with someone else, they raised a bunch of money to buy a bunch of FBA companies. Do they pose a threat? If I'm remembering correctly, and that's who it is, then no, I don't think they do. The recommended FBA starting investment from one small size product from China. If you have $2,000 or more, then I think you can get started without too much trouble. There's some people that have these awesome success stories of starting with just a few $100, but realistically, it's easier if you have a few $1,000s as opposed to a few $100s to get started. How big is the Freedom Builder Bootcamp community? There are going to be probably roughly 50 or 100 people in there. Are there mentors available for one-on-one coaching? There's not one-on-one coaching, but there is like live Zoom calls where you can ask questions. Inside of the community, there's going to be other people in there to help you. So it's not one-on-one coaching, but what you'll find is you'll be on a call with 10 or 20 or 30 other people. So like all your questions will get answered. And yeah. Christy said, can you talk about how to account for skewed sales estimates based off of the temporary COVID spikes? Trying to plan for longer term with some supplement type items. Christy Waltz, what I would recommend is if you're using the Jungle Scout extension, you can actually click on the sales number inside of the sales in that column, and it'll show you historical sales. The really nice thing is then you can, yeah, you'll see how well it's been selling historically, and yeah, try to account for it that way. I guess the one last thing I'll just add to that, Christy, is that there's some items that are definitely like temporary spikes, I would assume, things like hand sanitizer or toilet paper or whatever else. But then there's a lot of, like I said, sales are up on Amazon 20, 30, 40%. And no one knows for sure how much those are going to like either continue to grow long-term or stay elevated or go back down a little bit. My best guess is they're going to kind of stay at these levels. So, but you do have to take into account that like there's certain items that are obviously just spiked right now. Is there a particular site you can recommend for giving away coupon codes to launch? Jungle Scout actually has this functionality built in. So I think Lamb Lovers, you already said you're using Jungle Scout. So we actually have this functionality built in. Still recommend PayPal for initial sample and orders. Yeah, either PayPal or bank transfer. What's the best way to calculate your stock to try to not go out of stock? This is kind of a difficult thing to do, especially right now because sales are fluctuating quite a bit. Jungle Scout actually, again, has an, I don't want to sound like a salesperson here, but it has an inventory management tool built into it to do these calculations for you. If you want to do them yourself, I guess you'd be thinking about what sales velocity it's selling at, and then just try to project that into the future. For someone starting from scratch, is $5,000 to $10,000 budget enough to get this up and running properly? Yeah, I think so. Wanya said, you kept skipping my question. I'm sorry. Please ask it again. Patty said, how do you handle Amazon selling your products they've claimed are damaged and destroyed? I've heard this from multiple sellers. You don't handle it. You just let it happen. It's not really that big of a deal. Like sure, maybe a few people purchased the used or damaged product instead of a new one from you, but it's just a few units. Don't get bent out of shape over it. Have you used the inspection service that Alibaba has on their website? If you have, what are your thoughts about them? No, I haven't used them. I'm sorry. The two that I've used before are VTrust and I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like QIMA, Kima, I guess. They're the two that I've used. They seem about equivalent. Between air and sea shipping, what's your best advice for new sellers? If it's small and lightweight, I would do air. If it's big and heavy, I would do sea shipping. Or yeah, if it's really small and light, I'll do air. For everything else, ocean freight. The best way to pay for large Alibaba trade assurance orders. If you do credit card, they're going to charge you 3%. So bank transfers will be free. So that's what I'd use. What's the Jungle Scout market? Jungle Scout built a, if you go to junglescout.com, you can find it in the resources section. It's the Jungle Scout market, or market.junglescout.com. We used to get a whole bunch of questions of people saying like, hey, who's the best photographer? Hey, who's the best copywriter? Hey, who's the best person to do this? So what we decided to put all of these like pre-vetted Amazon experts in one spot. And you can find them at, actually, I think you can also just go to junglemarket.com and it'll take you there. How can I access this community? If you're talking about the Freedom Builder Bootcamp community, that's only for builderbootcamp.com. If you're talking about the Jungle Market, just go to junglemarket.com and you can find it there. Is there value in using a third-party logistics company, or should I send it straight to Amazon FBA? I would send it straight to Amazon FBA. You'll need to use a 3PL though if you have to like unpack a container, palletize it, and send it to different locations. But you can either send just the cartons themselves, or you can actually send full containers directly into Amazon. Greg, is it required to create UPCs for products in FBA or FBM? If you are making your own product, so you're doing private label or you're inventing it or whatever else, then yes, you need to get a UPC. Now, for everyone that uses FBA, you have to print out a different type of label, FNSKU labels, unless you want to do commingled inventory, which I don't recommend. So, but specifically with the UPC, that's required for all private label products or like products you invent. I'm having trouble getting an N95 face mask listed, but there are at least 10 other sellers. Why is this? I imagine this is related to either like fake N95 masks being sold, or probably mostly because of that, but also maybe because like people were selling for high prices and Amazon was getting accused for price gouging for them. So yeah, I don't know. You can try to contact Amazon, but I'm guessing that you're not gonna be able to list it. You can sell them on something like eBay or somewhere else though. I'm not sure about a $5,000 budget. China's pretty expensive. Yeah, with the $5,000 budget, you need to go for something that's a lower MOQ or a lower priced product, but there's plenty of people that get started on a $5,000 budget. Are there any manufacturing directories other than Alibaba to search for products? Again, if you have Jungle Scout, the supplier database is very effective for searching for products. What's so cool about it is you can see who the manufacturers are for different companies. So that's like, you know, those particular manufacturers will be good. And if you don't have Jungle Scout, we're offering a free trial right now to get started. So I'd recommend going for it. Let's see. Online arbitrage episode. How do you minimize the risk associated getting reported by brand owners who just don't want you to sell on their listing? You won't really find this problem. You have to think like, when doing the arbitrage stuff, you're probably gonna be buying these products that are from these like big brands, and they're not gonna be like reporting counterfeit products illegally, or like reporting that for people who aren't offering real yeah, I mean, it's unlikely that big legitimate companies like that are going to do like shady tactics. How do you launch 2 new products with different brands at the same time? That's no problem. The launch process I would use for 1 product or 10 products at the same time would be the same. How can I get reviews quickly for the launch? I would recommend taking advantage of the Vine opportunity. It's it's now available for 3P sellers. So I'd recommend doing that. That, and then the other thing that works really well is the request a review button inside of Amazon. We found that it is animals walking by. We found that it is very effective for getting reviews. If you have a bunch of sales, then actually the Jungle Scout Chrome extension will automatically send those for you. So you go into the orders page, click the little JS button. It will ask you to give permission to do that. And then it will, then you can click send all, and it will send one of those for all of them. Louis said, missing the Jungle Scout shirt today. I know. I don't know. I was feeling the red shirt today. Can people living in Southeast Asia sell on Amazon? Yes, you should be able to do so. I think there are a handful of countries that, for whatever reason, can't sign up for Seller Central accounts. But as long as you sign up for a Seller Central account, you'll be able to sell on Amazon. And people sell on Amazon from all over the world. If you launch a product that is easy to have variations, would you test market first or launch with the variations right away? It would cost $3,000 to launch. I would probably start with variations unless it's something that like, if you, I don't know what your product is, but if you feel like if there's not variations, that it's likely someone will still purchase your product. So that would be something that, like, offering your product in white or gray, there's a good chance people will still buy it even if you don't have those variations. If it's something like that they have to have your correct size for it to fit properly, then that's a little bit different. But if it's the former category, I'd probably start without variations just to simplify it, and so you get started for less money. Many Chinese traders and manufacturers are directly selling goods on Amazon. That's not fair at all. Why is Amazon not restricting overseas sellers? Amazon allows people from all over the world to sell on their platform. Whether you think that's fair or not, that's kind of your decision. But yeah, they've made the call that they allow people to sell on their platform from anywhere in the world. Where can I find suppliers in Latin America? I would recommend checking out our supplier database and just filtering by the countries that you are looking for. So you specifically said Latin America. Yeah. How much is the price for brand registry in the US? Brand registry itself is free. You do have to have a trademark to apply for it. So a trademark is going to cost you a few $100, but other than that, it's free. How do you sell under different brands under the same seller account? It's easy. You can sell as many different brands you want under the same seller account. Realistically, no shopper's going to go and look at what products your seller account sells. I mean, it's just not behavior that's common on Amazon. So no one will ever really know that you're one account selling a bunch of different brands. It doesn't matter. We need supplier search tools for US-based companies. Help. ThomasNet's the only one I know of, but I've said this a few times. You're going to be disappointed what you find there. There's just like no manufacturing infrastructure in the US. Sorry, there's just not a lot of factories making stuff in the US. Can we set up on SKU level to limit shipping to certain 48 states? No. You can limit that Amazon doesn't export your product to other countries, but you can't limit what states they ship to. Robert's asking about the N95 mask again. I think you're going to have a hard time selling it on Amazon. I think they limit it because of counterfeits or high prices. Honestly, you can try working with seller support, but I'd probably just sell it on eBay or something. Do I need an LLC to do wholesaling like you demonstrated in the recent episode? I'm not a resident. If you are not a US resident, then Amazon will require an LLC or a legal entity for signing up for a Seller Central account. How many Amazon accounts can someone have legally? If you have different unrelated products, should you create different accounts? Amazon now does allow multiple accounts for a person, but there's a whole bunch of restrictions. You can find them on their website. Essentially, If you're legit selling like different brands or selling different products, then they're cool with you having different accounts. But I don't know why you do it. Like I would just put all of them under one account. That way you only pay the fees for one account, and no customer ever cares whether or not a seller sells multiple brands or products. Should I use my LTD in the UK to sell in the US, or should I open a US LLC? If you're just looking for simplicity, they'll let you just use your British legal entity. If there's some other tax or liability issue or reasoning that that you're looking for, then you need to ask just like your accountant or legal advice about that. Macro level steps for sourcing from China. Decide what product you want to sell. Find a factory that makes that product, contact them directly and start that relationship. Do the negotiating, order the product, have it shipped to the US. Big picture, that's how it works. And it's actually, it seems scary before you do it, but it's actually pretty simple. All right, we have about 3 more minutes left, so we have a few questions left. I do not see a free trial option. I'm ready. I think it's junglescott.com/boost. We'll drop oh, there it is. Yeah, junglescott.com/boost. If you are not yet a customer, you can get access there. What budget per day for PPC do you recommend? I mean, if you're making good profitable sales off your PPC, then I wouldn't even put a budget on it, because it's like, hey, if you're, for every $1 you spend, if you're making $2, then it's like spend $1 million to make $2 million. If you're just getting started and you're trying to figure it out, then maybe $20 or $50 a day. How do we ensure we're dealing with a legit factory when sourcing from Alibaba? You can do a few different things. You can see like how long there have been like gold, whatever it is, gold certified on Alibaba. The longer, the better. You check how many imports they've done into using the Jungle Scout supplier tool. You can, let's see, you can get your goods inspector, party inspection company. All those things will help you determine whether or not they're legit or not. Robert Moore just asked the same N95 question over and over. I've already answered it twice, Robert. I'm sorry. I'm not answering it again. Once I set up a seller account, I'm allowed to sell right away. Thank you. This is priceless. You're usually allowed to start selling right away. From time to time, Amazon will make you go through like a little bit of vetting where you have to provide ID and proof of residency and stuff like that. But other than that, besides that, yeah, you're able to start right away. All right, time for one more question. All right, last one from Chan. About the wholesale question, I was referring to if it's required to have an LLC to source from those brand owners as a non-resident. Short answer is yes. The wholesalers are going to require you to like set up an account with them, and to do ask for your LLC or your legal entity and your EIN number. So the short answer is yes, that is going to be required. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this live Q&A session. It's always fun to answer your questions. I've enjoyed it a lot. If you want to check out the course, the bootcamp that we have open right now, you can find it at freedombuilderbootcamp.com. If you don't already have Jungle Scout, you're crazy. What are you thinking? And we're offering a 14-day free trial to help everyone out during the midst of the COVID stuff. You can find it at junglescout.com/boost. And if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, you're crazy. Hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell so you get notified when we go live again. And thank you so much for all of your questions. I've really enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Adios.